It's Transria. As I said, I was going to make a video about how Path of Exile renders the game Diablo III completely obsolete. I'm going to go into my most recent character. This is a Ranger, which is the base class that I've chosen. Now the only effect that the actual base class has on the game, or on your freedom within the game, that's one thing this game has got that puts Diablo 3 to shame, is that when you can make your character in a nearly limitless amount of ways based on, like, you have complete freedom with your decisions about just about any way you want to build your character. So I've chosen a Ranger, but what choosing a Ranger actually only does is determines my starting position on this massive passive skill tree. And the class that you choose just determines where you start on this tree. So as a Ranger, I'm starting here, which means, and each class is based on 2 base attributes, or 1 base attribute. So the Ranger is based on the attribute of dexterity only. Whereas down here, where the Gladiator starts, his stats are based on dexterity and strength. And then next one over, you've got the Marauder, whose base stats are based on only strength. And then Templar is strength and intelligence, and then Witch is intelligence only, and then Shadow is intelligence and dex. So basically I can choose all kinds of different options for how I want to build my character, whether I want her to be a shield user. Even as a Ranger, I'm not limited to her using a bow. There's also an option of becoming a swashbuckler and using a rapier and having sword skills and shield skills. But yeah, I'm going with a purely bow-based build, in particular cold arrows, which I am getting a lot of cold passive skills as well to increase my cold damage. Over here and up there, and then most of the areas in between are basic damage with projectiles or ability to evade attacks. Diablo 3, you choose what? A couple different skills, and then you can choose different runes that the skills are affected by. There's like 6 for each skill, and that determines what they look like and some elemental properties, as well as extra effects that they have or extra projectiles that they may have. However, with this game, every character has access to every single skill in the game. They just need to have the right coloured socket on their armour or weapon. So for example, my main skill that I use the most often is I've put on my armour here. Now the main skill is called Ice Shot, which makes me shoot an ice arrow that, as you can see, explodes in a shard of ice when it hits enemies. I've also got a ice golem that I can bring out, that I should always keep out. Now I've also actually got 2 ice arrows set up on my equipment. The first one is this one that is enhanced by a greater multiple projectiles passive, which allows it to shoot so many arrows at once, and then also causes this ghost looking archer that appears over me that also uses the same skill itself and automatically attacks enemies that I'm not actively clicking at. So I've basically got this skill going on twice at once with lots of extra projectiles. But then I've got this other option that I use for tougher enemies, like this unique here, where I instead use a barrage ice arrow that shoots like this. Lots of fast projectiles in a small area. That helps me take down unique, tougher enemies that are more of a single target. So as you can see, this is set up by the skill Ice Shot, which is my main active skill, and then enhancing that, I've got Mirage Archer support, which makes that ghostly archer appear above me and also use the skill while I'm using it myself. And then you've got greater multiple projectiles support, which is what makes so many arrows come out at once. And then I've also got added cold damage support, so the cold damage that I do is doing even more damage. Plus it's aided by the fact that some things I've got also add cold damage to attacks. And then I've also got this skill that is... So I've got a blink arrow skill. I have to demonstrate it. So my blink arrow allows me to teleport and leave an archer behind that uses a skill on its own to attack enemies. So I can use this as a movement skill to quickly get out of tight spots, and then it will leave an archer copy of myself behind that uses the skills that I have attached to that blink archer. So blink arrow is what allows me to teleport and leave an archer behind. And then it's aided by added cold damage support, greater multiple projectile support, and cold penetration support. So not just does it do extra cold damage, but it also overcomes any cold resistance that the enemy has got. So I mean, just what I've shown so far shows that this is such a more interesting, highly customizable game than Diablo 3 could ever hope to be, even if they were to release some massive patch that greatly change the game. This game has existed for like 6 years or so, and they continuously keep on increasing the options and there are so many different end game options in this. There isn't just the what do you call it, the that thing in Diablo where you go into that randomly generated set of maps that are like a challenge and you try to get through it quickly. This has got something like that. It's got this mechanic where you build your own boss out of parts. It's got a mechanic where you go into a mine. I'll show this. So, I mean, this is a mechanic that you can start enjoying a couple of acts into the game. Not just is it an end game option, but there's this thing called the mine encampment. And at the mine encampment, it's sort of a fun little extra way to play the game. What you do here is you have this map, and the yellow line shows what I've explored of it so far, at least in this challenge league. So like my progress and all my currency and everything's been reset when you start a challenge league, and it lasts for a certain amount of months before the league closes. So, as you can see, there's all these different ways that I can go. So, let's say I want to try to get this azurite cavity. I'm just doing something easy while I'm distracted talking. Azurite is what you need to get to upgrade benefits that help you more easily and safely explore these mines. And what you actually have to do is you have to kind of escort this light source, because what it is doing is it's placing down torches that will allow you to come back to this area after you've completed this mission, and then be able to explore across where it's left torches. And the light source that it provides also protects you, because if you go into the dark, your health starts instantly going down and you start getting darkness damage. So you can't just walk around in the dark in this place, or else you will very quickly die. So here I am using blink arrow to keep up with it, leaving an archer behind, shooting arrows while another archer, ghostly archer, is shooting arrows. Now these are, just group enemies. I'm not needing to use my single target barrage arrow very much. Oh, and then I've also got this other skill for when I come across particularly tough enemies, which is a curse. You'd normally associate curses with witches or something, but you can use any skill as any class, and it's often a reason to. So I've reached the Azerite cavity. This will give me the currency I need to improve the stats of the mine itself, basically, of this having more light, the thing that I'm escorting, as well as me being more resistant to being in the dark and not dying so quickly. So I'm going to activate this encounter. I'm going to use my curse skill to curse these enemies with projectile weakness. It's a bit pointless because they die so easily and so quickly from my arrows anyway that there's no reason to give them further weakness to my arrows. But just demonstrating. This was a very easy encounter because it's low level compared to what I should be trying for a challenge, and gives me a small amount of Azerite that I can upgrade. This particular option of how to progress in the game. I just picked up a Chaos Orb, which is a fairly valuable item of currency. This game has a really cool idea in that currency isn't gold or something like that. It's these orbs that allow you to directly change the properties of your equipment. Wow, I was actually out of Chaos Orbs. I'm pretty poor at the moment. So a Chaos Orb allows you to reforge a rare item with new random modifiers. And because items have got so many different properties, so like this armor here, I've got 4 link slots, and it's got a fifth gem slot, but it's not linked to the others. Actually getting hold of armor that has got 5 link slots is very rare, and when you do, you will probably want to, even if it's a normal or only magic quality item rather than rare, you will want to keep it so that you can make use of the 5 slots, which is often more valuable a thing than it being rare and having good stats. But if you do find an ordinary item, you can apply a Orb of Chance to it, which turns it into either a normal or rare item. Or if you unluckily only get a magic item instead of a rare, you can use a Regal Orb to upgrade a magic item to a rare item. Or you can upgrade a normal item to a rare item using an Orb of Alchemy. Or if you don't like the stats that you randomly got when you created the rare item, you can use a Chaos Orb to reforge a rare item with new random modifiers. So it's luck of the draw, basically. This is kind of a gambling item of currency, and it's the main item of currency that people trade with is Chaos Orbs, because it is the one that's most often used when you've got a perfect piece of armor that's got 6 link slots, which is very rare. And once you get your hands on that, you will probably want to hit it with a bunch of Chaos Orbs so that you can get its actual rare stat improvements. As you can see here, cold resistance and maximum life and evasion rating change to something that's really as good as you can hope for, and you're gambling each time. So when you use a Chaos Orb on it again, it might even end up worse than it started. So there's that gamble. So that's how currency works. There is no gold or money in this game. There's just the orbs that people trade with, that they use to customize items that they come across. Now this is the screen for upgrading certain parts of the mine, so I can upgrade my sulfite capacity, which is the currency you need to collect to be able to explore the mine. You do that outside of the mine in other areas. Now darkness resistance, I've got 10% at depth 12. So if I were to upgrade that, it would go up and I would take less damage from darkness. But of course these stats always get lower and lower the deeper you go in the mine, and so on. Flares, which create light that you can use to explore dark areas that aren't attached to the torches that the thing leaves behind. So for example, here's so when I sent that thing to go and explore that area, it left behind these torches that I can now follow and explore the area in between the 2 points at will. But I'll need flares if I want to risk. So this is all pretty straightforward along here so far. But if I want to try to explore down here in the dark, I'll start losing life and dying. Oh crap, I'm past the, I just lost experience when I died then, I forgot about that. Once you get past a certain point in the game, you start losing experience every time you die. Which, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, there's that. I mean, there is just so many reasons this is so much better than Diablo. There's a place called the Hideout, which is just sort of your own place where you apply crafting to your items, which is another way you can improve your items. So let's see if there's any here. I haven't given my helmet an extra enchant yet. Extra enchants cost currency. So for example, some of these particularly powerful ones cost actual chaos orbs as opposed to more common currency. So I think I'll just for now give my helmet increased evasion rating. So anyway, that's what your crafting bench does in your hideout, but then you can also customize your hideout. I don't really feel very creatively motivated to change what my hideout looks like. I just move the NPCs around using the edit option to where I will find them to be more conveniently placed. So I'm in edit mode at the moment, and I'm going to move Nico, the miner, to different places, turn him around, and I can customize all these decorative things to make my hideout look like whatever I want. And I buy these different I don't know. There's a lot to explain just about how you can customize your own little home space, which you can't do in Diablo either. Then there's another option for how you play the game called the Menagerie, which is where you basically fight special monsters. Then you come to this blood altar, and I can fight a bunch of enemies for a chance at a mace or scepter that is of a unique rarity. Unique items aren't necessarily better. Well, I just got defeated. Wiped out. So I missed out on that. That was a waste. But anyway, this is why Path of Exile rules and Diablo drools. And this has been 20 minutes, so I will be done for that. Maybe I'll talk more about this game later. Show some actual gameplay of me going through more challenging parts of the game. And yeah. This is why Diablo 3 is it's pointless that Diablo 3 even exists and that people still play it, because Diablo 3 still costs $60 plus another $20 for the Necromancer expansion. This game is free. I only had to pay, I've spent about $100 on the game by choice, but also for these special stash tabs. You need special premium tabs if you want to be able to sell with other players using a trade website that it automatically updates with what's in people's sales stash tabs. And then also had to pay real money for this tab that allows me to easily organize my currency items. And premium stash tabs allow me to actually give names and colors to tabs so that I can more easily organize all my items. Other than that, the game's completely free. So, yeah, there's just, I mean, Diablo 3 is such a worse game than this that maybe that should be the game that is free and you can pay for extra stash tabs. Yeah. That will be it. Thanks for listening, watching.